Welcome to talkingsofgeeks.com. This is also going to be on magicdivisions.com. Justin here, back with more Tribeca 2024 coverage. And today we are greeted with our guest here, director, writer, editor of his new short film, Harry Quinlan. For new short film is A Rose for Katrina. Welcome, Harry. How you doing?
Thanks so much for having me. I'm
How's it?
doing actually not doing well, as I just said. My voice is completely gone, but that's the festival away.
Oh yes. How was the premiere?
Yeah, it was great. It's just an absolute dream getting to come to New York and be at a festival like Tribeca. It's just amazing. Oh, I look horrible. I didn't realize it'd just be a voice call. I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah, you're good. So let's first question is, since you are the writer, how did you come up with this particular concept? Because I watched this and it's in the it's labeled like in the comedy genre. Tribeca put it in the comedy genre, but I'm watching this, I'm like, this could be horror too. For like for the watching it as a guy, I was just like, yeah, I wouldn't know what to do in this situation. So how did the whole concept of this come about?
But yeah, it's interesting you say that because obviously it plays as a comedy and people laugh. But I never write all my stuff. When I show it to people, they always say, "Oh, it's like a comedy." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess it's a comedy. I guess it's funny." But I never sit down to write anything as a comedy. I mostly just try to. I always just start with an idea, and well, truthfully, I actually this sort of came to me while writing it. I just had that basic concept of
Mm.
a guy showing up with the rose for the date, which was something that I had used in another script. So I just started from that image, and yeah, I wanted to basically create something in the vein of like Robert Altman, who is a filmmaker that I really love. So I wanted to try to do that style, just basically for myself to see if it's possible to like ape that style with all the everyone's on lav mics, everyone's talking at the same time, and there's a lot of overlapping dialogue, and then that obviously leads to the one shot format because
Mm.
yeah, I want everyone talking through the whole thing, so it makes it really easy if you just do it in one shot. You don't have to worry about editing. But yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you exactly where the idea came from. It's not inspired by my real life. It just came out of the ether, the subconscious, I guess. Yeah.
And you said you did this in one shot. So how was that to film as opposed to like something where because one shot is continuous. So how was that opposed to taking a break here, break here, break here, film this piece, this piece, this piece, this piece?
It's actually, everyone always comes up to me like, wow, that's amazing. How did that must have been so difficult. But in a lot of ways, one shots make things a lot easier, as long as you rehearse it and you block it well. So we rehearsed, we had the location the day before. So we did half a day rehearsal and we just blocked the actors and the camera. And then we just came in the next day and we shot it 8 times and we were done. So, it only takes a few hours to shoot something like this. It actually makes it, yeah, simplifies things a lot if you just do one shot. So, people say it's so hard, but in a way, it actually is kind of a cheat. It kind of makes things easier.
So this was a 1 day shoot.
One day shoot, yeah. Actually, to be
Wow.
honest, half a day, really. So we
Wow.
stopped there in the early afternoon and started. I wanted it to be the way it's shot and the way it finally was filmed is exactly as it was written. It was supposed to be dusk. I wanted it to be just that moment right after the sun had set. So we just started shooting from from like late afternoon when we had like a lot of light, but I knew we'd just like get a few going. And then when we get to that like, half-hour period, we just shot it as many times as we could. And then by the end, it was pitch black. So we couldn't shoot anymore. Yeah.
Wow. And one thing and I was watching this with my friend, we were just discussing like the character of Katrina because we both have ideas. Not to this no spoilers first, but there's something that she does in the date that has people going, is she? Is she lying? Or is it the actual truth? Is this actually a twin? Or is it so we were discussing, we just like, what will we do in a situation like it's like we're going on a date and a girl says this and you're like, and then you're doing all the stuff and you're like, it was such a mind trip. I was just like,
Yeah.
is she or is he? So How did I know you probably can't reveal, but can you give a little hint of maybe what, or is it just open to interpretation? The reason you wrote it like that.
I think for a while I was holding on to this idea that it could be possibly open to interpretation, but
Mm,
truth be told, I know personally the
mm,
truth situation, and I think there is something. There's basically something at the very, very end of this film, which
mm,
is an audio thing that I think sways it in a certain direction. Because I realized I just I was more interested in that character if it was a specific situation rather than if it was open to interpretation. So yeah, I think I pushed it pretty far in one direction.
And what also want to talk about a little bit about the opening scene with the two guys doing the narration of that. How did that come into play?
That is so basically those guys are two Melbourne comedians, Jonathan Schuster and Lewis Garnham, who are really great Aussie comedians. They just have that perfect style that I wanted this film to have. So just very casual. Um, they just delivered the dialogue super natural, super relaxed, which I love. But basically, that conversation, whenever the camera is on those characters or on anyone in the film, they're doing scripted dialogue, so they're doing what was written in the script. But I told them to keep talking for the whole time, so they improved. We did it 8 times, so they improvised about 10 minutes of conversation 8 times. And they just kept coming up with hilarious stuff. But yeah, that conversation that they have about the TV show they're watching is a conversation I had once. Someone basically told me about the British version of Deal or No Deal, the show Deal or No Deal, which is
Mhm.
what they want. Yeah, so I just took that. It's just you have these kind of things in the back of your mind, and when you sit down, you're like, what are they talking about? You're like, that was kind of interesting. Let's do this. I don't even think it's true, to be honest, what they're saying. I looked it up and I'm like, I don't think this is actually true about the English version of Deal or No Deal, but who cares? It only matters that it's interesting to listen to.
And I always like to give I also like to always get like a little background. So when did you fall in love with the craft of filmmaking? Like when did you get the filmmaking bug, as they say?
Um, well, with filmmaking, I think you obviously always fall in love with films. I always loved films growing up a lot. I had two older brothers who were both really into film. So my oldest brother's 10 years older than me. So I got to go to all the, in Australia, we have different ratings, but like all the MA15 films that I should really have been able to go see or get out from the video store. Yeah, so like as a kid watching Kill Bill and just random stuff like that. But my brother really, I think looking back, I realized I think I'm into movies because my brothers were really, really into film. So I watched a lot of movies growing up with them and all kinds of movies, which I think is good for kids to just watch all different kinds of stuff.
Mhm.
But in terms of filmmaking, I don't, I was an actor.
Okay.
I sort of toyed with the idea originally of doing acting. And then I kind of realized I really like writing a lot. So the one thing about being an actor is you have to say other people's dialogue. And I kind of wanted to say my own dialogue. And I realized the only way to do that is to write and direct the movies myself. So yeah, I just made like a web series when I was 23 in my share house and just did that all completely myself. And then each project after that, I have tried to go bigger and try other things. And yeah, and now I think I'm arrived at a place with this short, which is yeah, I mean, compared to where I was with my camera in my share house,
Mhm.
it's pretty amazing how far you can go just by pushing yourself a little bit further each project. Yeah.
And and I alluded earlier that you written, directed, and edited. Which one would you say was more of the biggest challenge out of the three? Was it writing the script, directing the film, or editing it, the final product?
I think this is going to sound crazy because it's a one shot, but editing was the hardest. Um, I really struggle with picking the take, and when you're only picking one take, uh, it makes it so much harder because you have 8 takes. It's obviously elements are good in this take, but then this take has a really good part here. So Truth be told, as well, there is actually some editing in the film, so the final product is actually a combination of two of the takes because we had a take that was almost what was from an acting standpoint perfect, but there was a technical issue, so I sort of cut around it, stitching it to another take. So there's actually two cuts in the film, sort of invisible cuts. But yeah, my producer hates when I tell people that, but I think it's interesting. Everyone always goes, "Where are the cuts?"
Because the thing about one take is that so I always looked at like one shots and one takes is like how theater is. Like there's like really no room for errors and mistakes because you're just going in this continuous emotion of like a play goes. Like they just do that one scene. It's just like, so how long was the rehearsal for that?
Well, we rehearsed for half a day. I mean, I had some I because my actors were both in Sydney and I'm based in Melbourne, so we met a couple of times on Zoom
Mm.
and we read through the script. But that was mainly just to for me to see if it was going to work. And so, very obviously, quickly I realized, yeah, these are both the lead actors. Benjamin Ilabucci and Megan Smart were both fantastic. So
Yes.
that was really easy. And yeah, we rehearsed in the location for half a day, and then it was actually amazing how quick it came together. It just kind of worked, which never happens with film. Normally you're waiting for it all to fall apart, but this just worked perfectly. So
And final two questions. The first one is, um, you are here in New York. You're here at Tribeca. What does it feel like? And how are you feeling afterwards after the premiere? Is it just like a sign of relief, or you're just ready to get ready to film something else, or you just like ready to go now that just like you got it? It's just like, okay, I want to do another one. I want to do another one.
I definitely want to do another one, of course. I think, yeah, when you go to something like Tribeca, I mean, this is like by far the biggest festival that I've been to. It's sort of in the back of my mind. I'm like, oh, you got to keep this momentum going. I don't want to go back to Australia and be sitting on my bed thinking, I was in New York City, at my premiere a couple of months ago, and now it's just back to normal. So I would love to. I've written a few short scripts that I would love to make. So yeah, just getting some money together and making those. I'm ready to make them as soon as I can. But yeah, I'd love
A-
to keep that going.
And the final question is, you as an indie filmmaker yourself, what advice, and you're getting to the level of now that you're at Tribeca, your films are here, what advice can you give others who want to be in that same boat and same position?
Oh my goodness, I don't know if I'm in a position to give advice yet. I think maybe in a little while I'll be somewhere where I can have some good advice. But I guess it's just so different. It depends what you want to do. If you want to write, if you want to, if people want to write, the thing I tell them, which is a famous thing that writers always say, is read. You have to read if you want to write film or anything. Um, you can always tell when you read someone's writing if they're not a reader. That's the biggest thing. That's the best thing that's going to make your writing better. That's the only advice I feel comfortable giving, but that's not from me. That's from yeah, that's a very famous.
And
Oh,
is there a social media where fans can follow you or keep in touch with your, or a website where they can keep updated with your work?
yeah, my Instagram is just Harry J Quinlan, all one word, and my website's harryquinlan.net if they want to go there to see my work. And yeah, you can follow me on Instagram as well.
Harry, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.